Hello, Dan here. Welcome to the Otaku Host Club. Thanks for stopping by. Today we're talking about Beastars, which is currently streaming on Netflix. And Amelia and I are finally settling our argument about which is better, Ride Your Wave or Your Name. As is our style, these discussions are totally full of spoilers, so hold your hands to your ears if you think the discussion is getting too deep. Otherwise, take a seat right here, I'll pour you a drink, and yeah, let's talk about anime.
I want the first words of this podcast to be that your name was better than Ride Your Wave.
No, I rewatched it. The only reason, okay,
watched them both too. So
I just rewatched Your Name, and the only reason why I think Your Name is better, and I do think it's slightly better, but I think Your Name has like a pretty like crazy like sci-fi element to it that Ride Your Wave doesn't really have, but it's more grounded. But that one's more grounded in like reality than Your Name. But the only reason why Your Name is better is because they got fucking Radwimps to do the soundtrack.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I actually thought that Ride Your Wave was on par in terms of music, and I really liked the way they used kind of the theme song of Ride Your Wave and the way they had alternate vocal takes that always fit the mood and kind of spoke to the characters quite well. And I'm thinking specifically of their romance montage, which I thought was the best part of that movie, arguably the best part of that movie. And that romance montage was clinched because of the way they had the theme song with the two main characters singing it, and they're like giggling and laughing and having a good time with it, and like sometimes they're on beat and on harmony and it sounds really pretty, and sometimes they're just laughing and joking around and it's really cute, and it really made that romance montage very emotionally compelling. I thought that was really great. I also thought that the second to last scene was equally good when it's a year later and they have the message at the tower from
oh my god, I was bawling my ass out by then.
And she starts crying. That hit really hard.
Oh damn, I was already bawling. I was like, damn, he planned that. Oh my god.
But I just didn't overall. First I want to clarify that this movie does not have a twist, in my opinion. I imagine that the twist is supposed to be that he dies, right?
Yeah.
But that's like I didn't think that was a twist because that seemed obvious to me from the moment he did something by himself after that montage. Like I just assumed that when he went to the beach by himself, I was like, all right, so that guy's gonna die right now. That's.
Oh really? I was like he could get like seriously injured or something, like, or he could just like be practicing on his own and it's gonna go in a different direction. Like I didn't expect him to die, but also it wasn't clear, and I feel like the moments after that when she's like waking up, when she like wakes up and they do like after he's passed and everything, and she's like by herself for the first time. In those moments, I was like, oh wow, like did he actually pass away, or like is this a dream, or like that? And those, like, I think it's probably only like 10 seconds. I was just like, whoa, like that's kind of crazy that I don't know.
Yeah, I liked the way that they played with the lighting of that scene, like when she rides her bike to the beach and it's the lighting is noticeably darker than it was a couple seconds ago. I thought that worked really well to like create the atmosphere that like, oh, this horrific thing is just about to happen. But yeah, it didn't, when I think of Your Name, and part of what I think is so great about Your Name is the twists. So if we think of comparing these movies and like, oh, they both rely on these twists, it was like, I wouldn't even call Ride Your Wave having a twist. It's just like a plot point that, like fits genre convention, and, you can see coming in my opinion, you can tell that that's going to happen as the movie's progressing. Whereas Your Name, when you find out that Mitsuha is already dead. Like, that shocked me the first time I saw it. I felt like that was a twist, and I did not, like, in retrospect, as I watched this a fourth time and a fifth time, I can see more clearly how this plays out. But the first time I saw it, that left me speechless. I didn't see it from a mile away, and I felt like, man, that is a twist. And the moment where they're at the crater at twilight and talking to each other, that's not a twist, but
that's very emotionally driven. Even
that scene, just like, I felt like I had all the air knocked out of me. That scene is so impactful, and I didn't see Ride Your Wave having anything comparable to that, really.
Have you seen Weathering with You?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought, and I love that too.
Really? You just love Makoto Shinkai. That's all this is.
I am a fan. I've been, I saw Voices of a Distant Star, when I was a little kid, and I've been tracking all his movies since. I'm a fan from day one.
I kind of feel like Weathering with You kind of like negates Your Name. I feel like they kind of like cancel each other out because it's the same thing over and over again.
Well,
when I saw Weathering with You, I was like, okay, so like you had Your Name, but then like you wanted to make another movie and you wanted it to be equally as good, but you can't compare it to Your Name, but it's got like the same elements in it.
Yeah, but this I think we needed to have a whole episode dedicated to this topic. To talk about this as succinctly as I can. I do understand what you mean, and these movies are very similar, but they're kind of like two sides of the same coin. I think Your Name and Weathering with You are like kind of plot similar, but they're very thematically different. Or I guess maybe they're emotionally similar, but they're very thematically different. Whereas, because Your Name is really about destiny and this metaphysical sense that these people are like just permanently drawn to each other, and Weathering with You is about the opposite of that. It's about how destiny pulls you apart and how you're really not meant to be together, but you just make these selfish decisions over and over in an attempt to bring you back together, because that is more important to you than kind of doing the right thing or doing things that are beneficial to society. And so they hit similar emotional timbers because I think that's just the Shinkai style.
I was kind of disappointed.
I loved it personally.
I was like
better, but I absolutely loved Weathering with You.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with Amelia. I was sort of like, I wasn't let down, but it was sort of what to be expected, I think. I think until he like takes a risk and does something completely different, I'm going to have, Your Name is going to be the pinnacle of his work for me. Like, that's going to be where I hold him in the highest regard.
Yeah, well, I agree. And in my totally novice, uninformed opinion, I think Your Name is like, that's the anime movie of our generation. That's like the most important thing to happen in anime in our relative lifetimes. Because that it's like the birth of it. It's like a legend in the making. It's like a modern classic, and it's a meaningful shift in the industry. It's like a generational passing of the torch within the industry, that finally we see that there can be these critically acclaimed breakout anime movies beyond Studio Ghibli, that now somebody else is able to reach that level of commercial success and artistic success.
Thank God,
that's kind of a cliche opinion at this point, but whatever, that is my opinion, even if it's cliche,
I don't know. So what else you guys been watching?
So I am 13 episodes into Mobile Suit Gundam Zeta, and that's all right. Camille's a bitch, but I'm into the per capita slap to episode ratio. Like this definitely has the most slaps per episode of any Gundam series I've seen so far. So
Like
it is
people getting slapped?
Oh yeah.
apparently that's a Gundam thing to just slap each other silly.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, all right.
But it's usually like a higher commanding officer slapping someone of a low rank, or someone who's just like completely being an asshole, just straight up melodramatic. Yeah, like you deserve that slap.
Yeah.
I think if that's how we like talk, like we interacted with people that we didn't like, you just get a fucking slap, dude.
You deserve a slap.
Yeah, imparting life lessons onto the people around it, you know, like and Zeta Gundam is really like any conceivable reason they have to take off the glove and slap you with it, you know, they're wop, you know, right across the face, you know.
Would you say it's just a reiteration of the first series, just sort of a retelling of the story?
Well, that didn't occur to me, but I can understand why people would say that.
Mm.
What I don't like about Zeta Gundam is I don't understand the politics of what's happening on screen. Why are the Fetties using Zeon mobile suits and the Zeon are using they're using a mix of Gundams but also like new generation Zeon mobile suits?
Yeah.
And I continually go back and forth between like, oh well, you know, the Titans are like new generation Fetties and the AUGs like the surviving remnants of Zeon, and that makes sense to me. But then half the time I'm second guessing myself, like, is that really what's going on?
That's
like,
on purpose.
It's on purpose.
Yeah. They'll kind of break it down more towards the end of the season. There's sort of more to meets the eye.
Word.
But I think also Tomino, the director, I think his writing is just kind of off the wall sometimes. It's not always coherent. So like every Gundam series he's directed is sort of, he just does things for dramatic effect, you know. Right. Doesn't have to make sense necessarily.
Okay. Word. And that's a hallmark of the times, right? Because what was the show that we were watching earlier? Not Yamato. Harlock, Captain Harlock.
Oh, Harlock, okay.
Is kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Where it's really about, you know, the singular drama of the moment above all else. But I personally feel like this style, as I've seen it in Gundam and in Captain Harlock, is just continually like shooting itself in the knees because it doesn't give itself enough time and space to build up to real drama. It like sacrifices long-term storytelling and the long-term build of a higher drama for like these cheap moments all the way through.
Right.
Maybe that's just a sense of where the industry was at the time, that like, oh, you know, we're not making 900 episode, you know, these ongoing nonstop shonen adventures, so we really need to make the most of what we got with, you know, these 50 episodes. So I have also been watching I just finished Kengan Ashura on Netflix, which was not on my radar, and except that Afia and Justin are fans and they kind of turned me on to it.
What is it? What's the English title?
Kengan Ashura? I don't know if that's the proper English title. Yeah, I haven't seen, I don't get the sense there's a popular show at all. I've seen no discussion about it. But I thought it was a totally reasonable, respectable, beat 'em up, tough guy kind of show. You know, the funny parts are funny, the dramatic parts are dramatic, the exciting parts are exciting, the cool parts are cool. It kind of checks all the boxes. From my perspective, it is a show that...
Oh, Baki? Wait, is it Baki?
It is not Baki. It is not Baki the Grappler.
Oh my gosh, did I just do a whoops?
It's a clone, I think.
Yeah,
got you. Okay.
And it's funny that you say that, Amelia, because when Afia and Justin were, we've been watching the show Kinga and Ashura on Netflix. I was like, why aren't you guys just watching Baki the Grappler if you want something like this? You know?
Had they already seen Baki?
No.
Oh,
okay,
come
so then
on.
why are they watching it?
Come on.
No,
Bullshit.
even okay. So I don't know. I didn't know this anime, but by looking at it, I would have been like, "Is this Baki?" And then if it wasn't Baki, I would just go and watch Baki. Like even like my pleb like knowledge of that kind of anime, I would
it's
watching Baki.
Yeah, but in the grand, I mean, that's because we're a bunch of nerds, right?
I'm disappointed.
Netflix, and that's where the die rolls. Then it's whatever.
I'm disappointed in Justin and Afia. Jeez.
They I thought it was a totally reasonable type beat 'em up show. It did nothing great, but it did everything just fine. And I'm gonna keep watching it when they come out with new episodes. I also thought one particular thing that they did do great is they do a transition in animation and art style between the current events and flashbacks. And I thought that worked very, very well. It did a lot to create a good atmosphere and a good sense of connectivity where that people are reflecting on these memories and they're having these flashbacks and thinking about their past because the art style has suddenly changed and now things are significantly different. And the art style and animation is also significant. It's much simpler and more straightforward in those flashbacks, and while still being effective. And I have to imagine that gave them more time and resources to devote to the action sequences of the show, and I thought all that stuff looked and felt really, really good. So it was a solid show. Yeah, but
You
also
do that really well in Your Name too, with a flashback at the end.
Yeah.
I think that's just so good when you differentiate between reality and not reality with different animation styles. That's just always good.
Yeah. So what have you guys been watching?
Well, the new season officially has started. So I watched a couple first episodes of things like Tower of God that I fell asleep on by accident. High Score Girl season 2 is out on Netflix.
Yeah, okay. So I saw that's out. Okay, I gotta see that shit.
I also fell asleep on that on accident, but I was watching that at midnight, so can't blame me.
I can.
Oh. Don't do that.
I've been watching an older show, 12 Kingdoms.
Huh.
There's early 2000s. Yeah, it's sort of it's based on Chinese folklore, and it came out after Fushigi Yugi, but it's similar to that show and Escaflowne. High school girl and 2 of her classmates get sucked into this warp, basically, and there are certain demons and things that brought them to this other world, like a parallel universe, and it's feudal China era, if that makes sense. And they're trying to figure out their destinies. It's pretty good. It's really character driven. I like that development in these characters, which you don't see a whole lot, I think, maybe in some of the newer shows. But I think it's based off a light novel and some other bullshit. Yeah.
I also started rewatching Love, Chunibyo, and Other Delusions. Have you guys seen that one?
I have not seen that, but I've seen the name.
It's really cute. It's just about a girl who has to deal with a lot from her past, and to deal with it, she becomes this chunibyo. If you know what a chunibyo syndrome is, it's like middle school syndrome where she thinks she's magical and there's
right.
This higher power or whatever that she has to defend her world against. And she meets a boy who used to be a chunibyo, who they are all going to high school together. This is their first year of high school, and they want to leave. He wants to leave his chunibyo stuff in middle school and live out a normal high school life. And by certain events, that he kind of ends up with a group of people that are all chunibyos and either trying to hide it or completely openly out. And yeah, it's really cute. They all fall, well, not they all, but the two main characters fall in love and stuff. It's really cute.
Cute.
Yeah.
So I have a somewhat off-topic discussion question that Kengan Ashura brought to my mind. And I was thinking about it because I think Kengan Ashura pulls itself very thin by putting everything into a tournament arc. And the majority of the show is based around this giant combat tournament. And on the one hand, as we all know, anime really loves a good tournament arc. And just about every long-running show has a tournament at some point, because tournaments allow you to pit characters against one another and focus in on individual characters and create lots of concurrent stories and dramas and kind of fill the screen and fill the story pretty easily. But Kengan Ashura, I think, suffers a little bit from this because it's pulled too thin. It doesn't have enough episode length and enough plot length to give the main characters the weight that they deserve as main characters in comparison to the 20 other people they've introduced into this tournament. Everybody kind of has equal emotional weight and equal time on the screen, and as a result, nothing becomes particularly important and nothing really sticks out so much. And I'm wondering if, when we think of the best tournament arcs, they're always, in my mind, the ones that immediately come up are in these giant 500 episode shonen style shows. Do we think that you can do a tournament successfully in a short period of time, like in terms of episode length, or is that something that should really be reserved only for shows that are these giant sprawling bajillion episode monstrosities? Can we think of examples of where tournaments went well for being very short in episode length, or number of episodes, I should say?
What wasn't Hunter x Hunter's first tournament relatively short?
Yeah.
Would you call that a tournament arc? Because I'm thinking of the time when they're trying to collect the coins. Where are they? They're in the city. You know what I'm talking about?
York New City?
They're in the big tower and they're fighting their way up the tower?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I am hesitant to call that a tournament arc, even though in some ways it is. It's a little bit of a unique situation because in some ways it is very similar to a tournament because you're having these constant head-on battles and progressing up to this championship type thing. But on the other hand, they're not really in a tournament. They're in this ongoing competition. There's not necessarily a grand winner of the tournament.
Right.
And the way that it's done in Hunter x Hunter, they really only focus in on Gon and Killua. They don't do very much with the villains. I mean, they do a little bit, but they do enough to make it serviceable. But they're really not they're not really ranking villains of the show, and they're not really meant to have much in the way of emotional weight. They're just these checkpoints for the progression of Gon and Killua. So I think that it works well because it is focused on its main characters and doesn't get distracted, which is different than in Naruto and the Chunin exam, where every character has their time to shine and has this backstory that is given to them. But that only works in Naruto because you have 900 episodes for every character to have 20 episodes about them at some point.
I can't remember the name of the gear show, the boxing show. It's based off of Tomorrow's Joe.
Ashita no Joe?
Yeah, but what's that? It came out a couple years ago.
Oh, Megalobox.
Megalobox, yeah. That was only 20,
It was like 12 episodes, I
12
thought.
episodes? Yeah, it's short.
Yeah, good. That's a really good example. Yeah.
Megalobox, yeah.
Yeah, Megalobox was really, really good and managed to shove its entire story into a tournament arc that, yeah, that's a good example of a short tournament that works really well.
I forgot about that show. That was fucking good.
Yeah, it was really good. And yeah, I think I name dropped that in our first episode. It's coming out with a second season, but why? I don't understand where you're supposed to go with the story from there.
I mean, I don't think I've watched enough of the big shonen shows to comment.
Where
Because Naruto's the only other one that I feel like I've seen.
I guess Dragon Ball would be the first, or one of the first.
Oh yeah, the original Dragon Ball.
Yeah, as far as fighting goes.
yeah. I guess there are many sports shows that revolve around tournaments, but again, they're like kind of long, like Kuroko's basketball or Slam Dunk. Slam Dunk is mostly about tournaments, but also Slam Dunk's like 100 episodes long, so everybody's got their time to shine.
What about Haikyuu? Have any of you seen that one?
I have not seen Haikyuu, but I am keen to start watching it soon.
Mm-hmm. I haven't watched it either, but I would assume that that's also centered around some kind of tournament.
I've become more. I've taken more of a liking to the beautiful boys doing things beautifully trope in anime than I have in the past. And Kuroko's no basketball. Kuroko's basketball really turned me on to the idea that actually these shows are kind of cool as long as they're yelling about fighting spirit and shit. Then
Yeah, I haven't really watched too many, but I did watch Yowamushi Pedal, the cycling anime.
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
I actually really liked it.
I heard good.
You like bikes?
I do like. That's the thing. That's what drew me to it. So I like cycling, so it made sense. Like, all right, I'll give this a shot. And the main character is an otaku who just happens to ride, they call it grandma bikes, or like mom bikes, cruising bikes. He'll like ride them, like 20, 30 miles a day just to go to Akihabara to buy figures, video games.
Oh, yeah.
So he's automatically has the endurance. When he gets a road bike, he just fucks everyone up. He's like, can go really fast and for long periods of time.
That's cool.
He's already trained. Yeah.
The only other sports anime that I've seen is Suzuka, the one about track and field. But I like that one because I ran track and field in high school.
See?
I saw an episode or two of that.
Oh, I love it. I love the art style. Obviously, I love the subject matter. I haven't seen it in a long time, though.
What else?
Shall we talk about Beastars?
I'm going to dive in.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
We're going to dive into Beastars, baby. So Beastars is set in a different society than ours, where anthropomorphic animals coexist with each other. And there's kind of like this divide of herbivores versus carnivores. And it centers around one specific character, Legoshi, who is a gray wolf, and he is very troubled about his past and is working through all of the things that he's feeling about living in this society and interacting with the people around him. And he's at this prestigious school. So Legoshi is a member of the drama club, and it's mostly centered around him and the members of this drama club interacting with each other. And within the first episode, you find out that one of his fellow drama club members and friends, Tem, is murdered at the school. And he has to deal with the death of his friend while also going throughout his life, time at the school, battling like his inner self and, you know, being like dealing with being like a carnivore at heart and also wanting to help out the herbivores that can't help themselves. And I feel like he thinks that he could have helped Tim in that situation, and he's sad that he didn't. But yeah, so they just go about, it's basically a coming of age story about this gray wolf coming to terms with his carnivore instincts while also liking an herbivore at the school.
So our collective introduction to Beastars was going to the Studio Orange panel at Otakon, right?
Yes,
Correct.
I actually probably wouldn't have been so invested in the series if I didn't see the panel at Otakon.
And my major takeaway from that panel was, hey, isn't Studio Trigger also making an anime about anthropomorphic animals doing their thing?
Yeah, I think we went to both of those panels where they were like revealing that at the same time.
Yeah, like, what is this just a new thing? Kind of like firefighters, you know, suddenly there's Fire Force,
Yeah.
Chromere, Ride Your Wave is about firefighters.
Yep.
Like, oh, everybody's into firefighters, you know? This year's trends, firefighters and hot anthropomorphic animals. You know?
Yeah.
That panel did not did not prepare me for just how steamy this show is.
No.
The steamy
was gonna
parts
be
make me
murder
super
mystery.
uncomfortable. Like so uncomfortable.
I thought this was going to be a murder mystery, but
I thought so too.
it's like a psychosexual thriller, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I thought that was fucking great, and I loved it. But the first time that rabbit strips naked, I texted you guys at like 12:30 in the morning, like, oh my god, Lord. my eyes.
Yeah. I had to like pause it and laugh. Literally, I paused it and laughed and like was texting people about it. I'm like, man, the furries are gonna have a field day with this shit. That's all I could think about.
I didn't pause it during that part, but like after the episode, I was just like sitting on the couch. Like Steven wasn't watching it. I was watching it like on my laptop on the couch. He was doing something else. And I just had to like take a moment because like the only things I could think about was like, how is this possible? Like, I get it. Like, I get that they're supposed to represent certain characteristics of people, and but like the logistics of that, just like I can't get past it.
Well, they definitely, the show lends itself to that level of sexuality and that level of humanism based on character designs, right? Like all of these animals have hands, regardless of kind of what would make sense for their animal. They're all given human bodies, more than just being anthropomorphic. They're like hunky, attractive human bodies with fur and animal heads and tails. But also, I guess that's the other angle of this, is that all these people are like, the character designs are physically attractive, you know? Like, it's not like there's fat animals or like these like, gross looking alligators walking around like the big boss of Donkey Kong, whatever, King Croc or whatever. Like, there ain't no gross, disgusting, like, skunk walking around with Pepe Le Pew wafts of poisonous gas through the air. Like, all of these people are like, if I saw these people on the street, I would think, yeah, you're working out, eating right, looking good, motherfucker, you know?
Yeah, that vegetarian diet, baby.
Yeah, everybody's vegan. Oh, wow. The moral angle of that I thought was really interesting. I was into it.
Maybe that's the conflict, though, is that we realize that they're attractive, yeah, and that they could be real people, right? If we just replace them.
Yeah, I definitely assign them more human than animal in my brain when I'm watching.
Yeah, but I think this is still a story that could only be told through anime, because if you remove the animal angle from all of this, then I think it loses 90% of its thematic depth and what makes it interesting. I think the animal angle is what makes this show better than the average high school, romance drama coming of age type show.
Yeah, that and the amount of depth that they go into developing each character, and the split screens where Legoshi is like thinking about something, and you get to see that in the moment of like when he's like talking to the person, and then it'll like circle back to that moment later on with what he actually says instead.
Yep, and I noticed that there was what was to me what I assume is a very distinctive Studio Orange visual style, because they really love the split screen. They really love the shot where it's the outline of the person's head and they're reflecting on these interactions, which I thought that visual style was great. I was way into it. I also thought that as quote unquote Netflix 3D animation shows go, this is the best looking show of that ilk. It is meaningfully better looking than.
Yeah, I feel like that's because Orange did it. It wasn't like Netflix like got some 3D animators to animate it. Studio Orange, I feel like, had like a very distinct like goal with this show, and I think they definitely like delivered on that. I think Netflix just gave them money.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, as far as like visual style, I feel like I really, really like enjoyed the first episode, the first moments of the show where everything was inverted so that you could see the movement that was happening inside of the auditorium with Tim when he was being murdered. And I feel like that like really if it was done any other way, I wouldn't have been so drawn to his character in such a short amount of time. But like you really feel what it's like for Tim to be in this like really extremely vulnerable state where he doesn't know like what to do or like what's going to happen next. And I feel like that only could have been done with that inverted style.
Yep, I agree. That was a great looking scene.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Same with the scene with Haru and Legoshi meeting for the first time. That same tone and mood, atmosphere, just like all came together in that first episode.
Well, I really love the way that they animate Haru's scent being imprinted into Legoshi with like the rabbit little signifier inside of his brain. I like really enjoyed that because I honestly like for an animal, I feel like that's what happens. I feel like they like visually represented like what actually happens when a scent imprints into an animal, Yeah. So cool. I would also just like to say I am not approving of how cats are portrayed in this anime, because the black cat is like the bully cat, and I feel like they should have not made the black cat the bully cat, because like in our society already black cats have a hard time getting adopted. Like, come on, she had to be the bully.
Yeah.
I'm offended.
I thought about that as well. And the other bunny, the split.
The Harlequin.
Yeah, the Harlequin bunny.
Harlequin, yeah.
We're rare and endangered, so stop fucking around.
Yeah, I don't feel like they would actually be that mean in real life.
Bunnies are mean, man. Morgan has told me all sorts of stories about this kind of stuff.
They're crazy. Really? Bunnies are mean?
They can be. Yeah, they can be mean and cranky. Yeah.
I feel like we were watching a documentary on bunnies or the habitats of like different like wild bunnies recently. And we were watching like a bunny, like the bunny show, like it's like a cat show or a dog show, but for bunnies. And there are so many different types of bunnies. It's like kind of crazy. And there's like these ones with like long flowing, like fluffy, like Pomeranian hair. And they're like really cool. And their teeth are huge.
I want to see that in the next season.
Yes, I need to see an Angora bunny up in this situation.
Yeah, I'm also curious as to where the next season is going to go, because the opening murder still hasn't been resolved. I guess, are we supposed to assume that this was the Shinsen Gumi that did this?
I mean, okay, so I thought about this a lot because I had rewatched the last episode like a few minutes before we started, and I thought it was kind of cool to make the perpetrator like completely ambiguous. Like the only thing you can really tell in that scene is what his ears look like and kind of like like face hair looks like, because most of the animals in the show already have like kind of like similar bodies. And I think that's really like smart, because after that scene, I was like searching for like what this animal could be, which one, who did it, like who was this person that had access to the auditorium and knew Tim. And I honestly thought that it was Bill in the beginning. When I was like first rewatching it, I was like, it's got to be Bill, because Bill already like goes off the rocker in the play scene. He at the black market wants to eat that like herbivore's finger. He's like all for like indulging in his carnivoric instincts. But at the very end, the last episode, the last scene after like the first credits roll, I was like kind of like analyzing it, because like Lewis after this point is still missing from when they had the encounter with the Yakuza, and Legoshi like is popping out of like a room which looks like a classroom. It doesn't look like a bathroom to me. And he doesn't act like it's Lewis, because if it was Lewis, I feel like he would be like, oh my god, like where have you been, like like where, like are you okay? So he doesn't like act like he's not seen that person in a long time. And the like pill, the empty pill thing in the trash, like leads me to think that it might have been Bill, just because he's always indulging in that side of like the bad side of everything.
Drugs earlier in the show,
yeah, but at the end, both Bill and Aoba, like the eagle, they both look like they're fine. They don't look like they're like been tweaking out or anything. And I feel like it could be Juno, actually.
Who was Juno again?
Juno's the gray wolf. I don't think she did it. I don't think she killed Tim, but or maybe not. Maybe it can't be Juno, because Juno wasn't there.
I don't think Juno was there
in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out who this person
is. Unless it's Lugosi has like a split personality, like a Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You don't think so?
But at the end, he said, let's go. So if it was it couldn't have been like him with a split personality, because he couldn't be in two places at once. And then he says, we've been looking for you. So it's someone, I feel like, that's in either the drama club or like from the boys' dorm. It's someone that like he's been interacting with this whole time.
Dang. I want to know.
I know, well, I mean, we could all just read the manga, but
we could read the manga. Yeah.
I'm gonna wait for the anime.
Has anybody read ahead in the manga? No.
I'm gonna stay firm on my anime choice for this one, just because like I've done the picking up the anime where the manga, picking up the manga where the anime left off, and like for this anime specifically, I feel like it needs to be seen as an anime.
Yeah.
I feel like there's too many textures to like take in.
Yeah.
And like subtle movements that animals do that needs to be.
I'm also curious about the fate of Lewis, whatever. Ruiz.
Yeah.
And so in some ways, I felt like it was intuitive that Ruiz allowed himself to be killed by the Shinsengumi, but I kind of felt like the way his lines were delivered, or like the circumstances of that moment where he's got the gun and whatnot, I took that as sarcastic. Like he was saying like, yeah, come and eat me, motherfucker, blah, 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 you know, and he was like just about to waste all those guys.
Yeah, I didn't feel like...
As he asserts, you know, he like uses the gun and uses his killing of the Yakuza boss to assert himself as the new leader of the Yakuza in this like self-hating, like, you know, I'm going to keep the lions in check by becoming their leader and putting boundaries so that they don't harm, you know, my fellow herbivore brothers and sisters anymore. So I felt like it was very open-ended.
Yeah.
But I might just be, you know, stupid and wrong.
I kind of felt like it was like kind of a little out of character. I don't feel like Lewis would ever let himself be eaten. He had taken such a stand with Legoshi and all the other carnivores at school that, he was going to assert himself. And him, like, at the end, I feel like, I don't know, maybe he went crazy.
Yeah. Well, he's got pride. And
Yeah.
his character suffers so much from kind of being stuck with the hand that he's dealt, right? Like, he clearly wants to be the strongest guy on campus. He wants to be the most powerful guy on campus. He feels pride in his intellect, in his character, in his social status, but still at the end of the day, he's challenged by the fact that any given carnivore in his vicinity could fucking kill him right off the bat. It may well kill him right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
He's stuck between living a proud life where he acknowledges the power he's attained versus knowing that there's physical power that he can never compare to. There's an uncrossable gap between him and half the society around him, and that, yeah, you feel that palpable pressure on him throughout the show, and I think that's really a good dynamic, which again is only possible because of everybody being animals.
He's got a messed up childhood. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of sympathy for him, his character, and like the whole black market scene, being a part of that. There's a whole like dynamic of politics, bureaucracy in this anime that I hope they dive into more.
Yeah, like with the mayor being like, "Oh, I've spent $1 million on plastic surgery to make my lying face look more friendly and less menacing," and the way that he plays this political game of allowing the Shinsengumi to kind of do what they want unchallenged as long as they keep it on the down low, and that's the way that he feels he can compromise like the stability of the society, that the carnivores are allowed to, the lions as the kings of the jungle or whatever are allowed to do as they please to a degree, so they're happy, but he prevents mass hysteria by like kind of sweeping everything under the rug all the time.
Where are the police in this?
Yeah, where are the police?
Where are the police?
That brings up kind of the one thing that I did, not that I didn't like this, but I felt like the panda bear guy was just so fucking random. And I say, like, I get it, and I don't think that kind of character is bad, that you have this like marauding vigilante, badass herbivore, especially like, the one herbivore bear, like it intuitive sense. And he's, like going out of his way to enact justice on carnivores that step out of line and protect herbivores that need protecting, and to kind of right this kind of awkward twist of society as he sees it. And I think that is a good character. I just thought that his introduction is just so random and haphazard, like he just kind of comes out of nowhere and then disappears out of nowhere, and it's all very convenient in a way that stood out to me.
I hope they resolve his character in the next season, or they dive into it a little bit more, because I do feel like it was like out of the blue. But I also feel like Legoshi needs him to be that like role model for himself. So I feel like he needs to be in the series.
Yeah, and I loved Legoshi as a whole, and that was the character that I most related to.
Yes.
And part of what I thought was so engaging about Legoshi was that he's very straightforward with his emotions and with his language in a way that is rare in anime love stories, and in a way that is strong, right? Like it takes real emotional strength and maturity to just kind of continually and routinely like just say what you mean and lay out your emotions in a straightforward manner to the people around you, and not hide behind innuendo or vague language or anything. And as we think of Legoshi coming to terms with his physical strength that he sees as this double-edged sword, that he's one of the stronger of the predators and he can really kind of do as he pleases, but also that makes everyone inherently afraid of him, and he struggles to exist in society because he feels like he can't be close to anyone because he's too dangerous as a predator. But so he has this physical strength, but then he also has kind of this emotional strength versus emotional weakness. Like on the one hand, because of the double-edged sword of his physical strength, he's very self-conscious and he's very anxious. He's very full of doubt, but also he's got remarkable emotional strength to like just walk right up to the rabbit and be like, "I love you," and not really like twist his words or bad his language about that. So he's a very interesting guy.
Oh, can we talk about the rabbit?
I want to see how did you feel about where they ended their relationship at the end of the show?
I mean, I feel like over the course of the show, like I grew to not hate her.
Really? Interesting.
So I mean, I feel like I empathize with her. Like, she gets bullied all the time because, she's not this kind of rabbit and she's not this kind of carnivore. She's like, just trying to exist in a world where she's basically on attack, like 24/7. And I can't really imagine that just because that's not like the kind of person that I am. But I do like empathize with like the bullying and like, being used for specific things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't necessarily think that she sees Legoshi the way that like I and like the viewer probably sees Legoshi, because every time like they interact with each other, like, and then time passes and they come back, she always says something negative about Legoshi or about the interaction. She always like puts her own, like, she projects onto him, which I don't think he actually like did. He didn't like actually be mean to her or like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but yeah, she like projects a lot of herself onto him, which I don't think that he physically does. So I don't know why she has like this she seems to have like this negative vision of him.
That's just instinctive though, isn't it? The being a carnivore. Is that what you're referring to? More of that, or
no, more of like
her
like
insecurities of like
like her insecurities, like
of being and I think of that as like, is it insecurity? Like, is it the female side of it, or is it simply the herbivore side, or if it's sort of they linking the two together, masculine and feminine part of the animal kingdom, sort of, however you want to look at it.
I took her insecurity to be purely an animal type thing. I didn't see it as being a feminine type thing, and I don't, in my opinion, I don't think the show wants you to take it as a feminine thing, because we don't. Most of the female characters are not insecure. Like Juno, clearly not insecure. Like we don't see women in the show kind of portrayed in any particular way, but Haru is explicit and specific that like, because I am a dwarf rabbit, my parents sheltered me. I have been told from the day I was born to watch out for anything and everything, because I could die at any moment and every fucking animal out here is ready to kill me and eat me. And so it feed that I think is what crafted her insecurity, and that is how her sexuality is played out too. That like in an effort to be seen as an equal and to be accepted as more than just a prey animal that either needs to be eaten or needs to be protected from being eaten, she kind of takes everybody on their carnal side to create a different picture of her and a different person of her, right? That like suddenly she can meet people on an equal playing field and be intimate and be acknowledged beyond the context of her species. And yeah, I thought that was very compelling, but it does make me wonder kind of, where does her sympathy for Legoshi come from? Because Legoshi is in some ways would kind of feed into her insecurities, because Legoshi's straight up like, you're my prey, I'm like half ready to eat you, that is my big dark confession to you, sorry. And she seems totally okay with this. And I am appreciative of the idea that I think she must like Legoshi, because Legoshi is at least making the effort to see her as a person, that he acknowledges her social circumstance as a tiny prey animal, but he tries to move beyond that, and not just by sleeping with her like everybody else. Everyone else is more or less fine to just one and done her, right? Like they don't, and she feels like that's the only way that she can connect with these people. Legoshi is the only one that makes an honest effort to not write her into a corner, to acknowledge these circumstances, but not write her into a corner and not leave it at those circumstances, but to move beyond that. And I think that is the value of their relationship. And I was ready for them to, rumble and tumble and start dating in the last episode, and I am disappointed that they are not.
Well, she one and done Tim. That's what that's their first interaction. She's like, "All right, bitch, go, let's go." And he's like,
No, so is that the way that I should take it? That she views that she tried to engage with him in this sexual way, in the way that she engages with everybody else, and the fact that he kind of flubbed it, I don't know, just kind of left it like, okay, like we tried and it didn't work out, so now we're moving on. I didn't take it that way.
You're talking their first encounter, a sexual encounter?
Yeah.
I'm talking about in the Love Hotel.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
At the end.
Oh, okay.
They weren't ready.
No.
Yeah.
I was blown away when she started, like, just shoved her arm in her mouth. Like,
yeah. Okay. Like,
for you to eat me, like, is it?
Would that really happen though? Would that actually happen? I meant to
look that up. I meant to look that up, and like, is that really a thing?
When a rabbit in the wild sees a waffling wolf, their first instinct is to go, eat me, just jump right in their mouth.
That's where I can't get into it.
Yeah, that part was interesting to me.
I don't know. I just feel like she doesn't see him the way that the viewer gets to see him, and we know that he's pure at heart, and he is genuinely like wants to protect her, and he genuinely like is in love with her. And I feel like all of her backstory like didn't allow for us to see like how she likes him, or like the nuances of like why she would like a gray wolf. So it feels like she just projects her I don't know, it just feels like she's always just like, he's just a gray wolf, so that's what's gonna happen, and I don't care.
Do you prefer Juno?
No, I actually don't. I actually hate Juno.
You hate Juno?
I actually hate Juno because girl, like she sees his attraction to this rabbit, and I get that, she thinks that they're supposed to be together because he's a gray wolf and she's a gray wolf, and I just cannot stand her fakeness to everyone. Like, I feel like show your true colors and people will like you for you, but because she's like trying to be Beastar, she wants to be well liked by everyone, and she's like super fake to everyone. I just don't like characters or people like that.
Yeah, when you say it like that, she's kind of a mean girl.
She's such a mean girl,
She's a
and
mean
Legoshi
girl.
deserves so much better than that, even if she is a gray wolf.
Yeah, I did not feel that way as I was watching the show, but when you say it like that, I don't disagree. I understand what you mean.
And even she bullies Haru. Like, come on.
Yeah,
You
but
could
they're
al-
romantic
like-
rivals, so I think that comes with the territory. Although I do agree that Juno has an uphill battle ahead of her if she's going to win over Legoshi, because that really, like, in some ways I'm like, girl, show your pride, because he's not interested, like, just move on. Because she could choose to date somebody else without too much difficulty. Like, she's hot.
Juno pins down Louise too.
Yeah,
Remember that
was
scene?
huh?
I was like,
she ready?
wow.
Cause she a bad bitch. Okay, she don't give a shit about no one. Can we also talk about like how the first episode everyone was talking about becoming the next B-star, and that's what the anime is about and the manga is about becoming a B-star. But then like I feel like I don't even give a shit about that anymore. Like, I don't care who's trying to be a B-star or even what like a B-star is. I'm more invested in like specific character interactions and who the fuck killed Tem.
Yeah, well,
about no B-star.
That's what because when we saw the orange panel, what they showed us about Beastars was the opening scene where Tem gets murdered, and then the scene where Legoshi jumps out and grabs Haru, and that makes it feel like, dude, this is going to be a straight up murder mystery. And then, yeah, as you say, like, the show is called Beastar. They introduced the concept of Beastar, the flag, the front page most popular animal, the leader of society, like the number one cool kid. And that concept is basically ignored, and the murder mystery is basically forgotten by by halfway through episode 1. Like, they never, like, they routinely go back to Tem's memorial and lay flowers and shit, but like, nobody really discusses the fact that Tem was murdered for the rest of the show.
Do we know what like time span we're supposed to be doing this in?
I was thinking the same thing. Like, how long is this taking? How many days is this? 2, 3 days?
Each episode a day, or is each episode like weeks have gone by?
Well,
or like,
that's a good point. I didn't really think about that. I guess it must be like a school year, because I thought that the epilogue was them returning from summer vacation, in the sense that the Meteor Festival was like the end of the school year, and then they went on summer vacation and came back in the fall.
Yeah, but and then Legoshi was like,
understanding that. Because if it was the end of the school year, wouldn't they all have final exams? You'd think that might play a role in
wouldn't they
academics in the show, so maybe it doesn't
like
matter.
Wouldn't they have already like crowned the B-star? Like, is that like, I feel like if they're seniors, then if they're seniors, then we're not going to see Haru, and we're not going to see Ruiz, and I think then those two characters we're not going to see because they were seniors in this season.
Yeah, I guess that's true, huh? So that couldn't.
So who the damn B-star?
Well, let's as we talk about who is the B-star, let's talk about Ruiz a little bit more, because I'll tell you, the scene where there's the power loss at the festival, and Legoshi seeks out Haru, and Haru jumps out from behind the tree and is like, Ruiz, and grabs him. My heart dropped. I was like, oh man.
Me too. I was like, damn it, you stupid rabbit. He came for you.
I know, dude. And Ruiz was gonna let her die by the lions too. And I was genuinely shocked when he showed up after the fact to like kill all the lions or whatever, or like do his thing. Yeah, I guess he, in some ways, he had to have known that he was after the fact, right? Like, as he was going there, he could have already surmised that Legoshi had gone there. And maybe he thought he was going to back up Legoshi, like he would just meet him there and they would do it together. But certainly by the time he actually gets to the building and sees that all the lions are already like knocked unconscious and tied up and shit, he's like, all right, like she's already saved. So, but then he doesn't make himself apparent to Legoshi and Haru. And I think that's got to be a question of shame, right? He can't just be like, oh, sorry, I got here too late. His pride won't let him do that. My pride wouldn't let me do that. I'd rather just not even go at all than like show up late and be like, oh, sorry, guys. I like was real wishy-washy about it and just took me a while. I got lost on the way. You know, I stopped for a bathroom break to come save your life. You know, like, you know, that's a bad look. But then, you know, why, if he knows that Hunter's already saved, then why does he go into the building and start blasting? And that's got to be just revenge, right? That's got to be just revenge.
Yeah.
Not revenge for Haru, but like a broader sense of like revenge against the carnivores that hold down the herbivores, as he sees it.
Maybe he's making amends with Legoshi. Because they fight throughout the season.
Yeah, they have kind of interesting character dynamic, right? They're like, sometimes they're like a little homoerotic, and sometimes they're really, you know, mad at each other and kind of competing with each other.
Yeah, but the competing is always behind the scenes, like behind each other's backs. Like we see the competing, and then they like just like they like know that it's happening, but they don't ever address it.
They're frenemies.
Yes.
They are frenemies to a T. Never before has that term been more applicable. Yeah, and when Ruiz jumps on stage to save Legoshi from getting beat up by Bill the Tiger during the play, I also thought that was quite interesting. And I really liked Bill popping vials of rabbit blood as a drug.
Well, see, that's why I thought that it was going to be Bill that killed Tim, because Bill goes off his rocker.
Let's just call him Tony. For crying out loud. I mean, come on.
That rabbit blood is great.
Yes. All right, we got to start a meme like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Bill was ready to fucking eat. So what do we think about Bill? Do we feel like, Bill, you're such a piece of trash, why are you eating all of your peers? But also, I don't know, like, would you eat that guy's fingers for $100?
Hell no, he was gross and dirty. No, ew.
Talk about finger food, right?
Ew, gross. I can't even imagine all the dirt that's underneath those fingernails.
Yeah.
What else to talk about this show?
Do we want to address episode 6 or 7, the chicken episode? Do we want to address that one?
Oh well, yeah, the chicken subplot was really cool. Artfully done.
I feel like, Dan, you would like that because, you know, she has her fighting spirit and making the best eggs.
Yeah, and I think it also are eggs vegan?
No.
This episode would lead you to believe that eggs are vegan because chickens are actually okay with you eating their eggs.
Yeah, bitch, eat my eggs.
Pride in their eggs.
They take pride in the damn eggs.
There could be a whole like side story with that character and her eggs.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I made egg salad after I watched that episode for the first time.
How'd it turn out?
It turned out terrible. It was not her eggs. Okay, like, I needed that.
Yeah, I'll tell Morgan the next time we talk that anime has taught me that eggs are vegan, so I can start eating them now.
The whole like flying license was kind of funny to me. I picked that out. You need like a flying license in order to fly around the city.
Yeah, that's weird.
The show does do a good job of painting some of the practical nuts and bolts of how this world is supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
And the black market in that sense also works very well, and intuitively makes sense to me that there would be this illegal meat market that people just kind of look the other way to because this is their capitulation to natural instinct and, you know, the way the world works and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think there's real life parallels to that?
Yeah, I mean, what's happening in the world right now is because of a black market, right?
Yeah, it's unregulated.
Well, an unregulated market, yeah.
Trying to think of what.
Yeah, but I'm like.
It's base level. It's definitely base level.
I'm not convinced that's really the same. That I mean, we're talking about the kind of like Chinese wet markets with unregulated sanitary standards, right? Sanitation standards. But I don't know if that's really a moral thing as much as a like a procedural thing. Like if these places had what I would see as I don't know, better health regulations. Is there really any problem with everybody, I don't know, eating bats and pangolins and whatever it is that people are eating in the current Wuhan wet markets? I mean, maybe pangolins are a bad example because aren't they endangered or something? Like
They are.
So I think it's kind of morally reprehensible to eat endangered animals, but in a broader sense, like eat a dog, whatever, man. That's all good. I don't see a differentiation of species in a broader sense in that way. As you guys picture me eating your pet cats and start I'm a fucking asshole or something.
Hey, one of my cat's names is Haru, so I have automatically a bias towards Haru the character.
Really?
Not being such a slut, Haru.
Yeah, Haru.
There is a lot of slut shaming in that one of the
a
episodes.
lot of slut shaming.
Yeah.
But also they're kids. I mean, they're high schoolers.
High school. Yeah.
There's a lot of slut shaming in high school, so
Absolutely.
Yeah.
pretty realistic there.
Yeah.
I like the little mouse that runs the PR department. He's like really loud, angry. Yeah, but he's like the smallest character. Like little nuances like that. And in that episode where the fight breaks out in the cafeteria, they distinguish the pounds per the amount of the pressure of each jaw, the wolf's jaw versus the fox. What was it, a fox or fox bite?
Mm-hmm.
The fox was 331 pounds, and then the wolf was 360 pounds of pressure.
I kind of wish that they did that when they were fighting the Yakuza.
Ooh.
Because then you would have seen how strong and like how each other what I mean.
It's like power levels.
Yeah.
My biting force is over 2,000.
And then you'd have been like, all right, Legoshi, you just overcame adversity.
I think sorry to rewind our topic. I think the real parallel to the black market in the show are sweatshops in developing countries. It's like these pieces of industry that are clearly illegal and arguably, immorally fucked up, but everybody just kind of looks the other way because that's part of maintaining our modern lives. And how do we adapt our society, without these capitulations, without these compromises? Could they have an entirely vegan society in Beastars without any black markets? I mean, yeah. And we could probably live our lives without sweatshops altogether, and we should. And many people are fighting very hard for that. And I also believe that we should. That capitalist consumption as we have it is not some like great be-all, end-all goal. But also, like, what does it mean when all consumer products jump up in price, by 20 times or whatever? And what does it mean in Beastars where like no carnivores are able to follow through with their natural instincts and get the kind of meat meals that they are naturally inclined to be getting?
Yeah, that's a good point. Because if you make something illegal, there's automatically they're going to create a black market, like prohibition, the drug trafficking, whatever. It's all correlated, right? Mm-hmm. There has to be a way to sustain those products, and people are going to want to get them, whether they're illegal or not. And like sex trafficking too is a similar situation.
Yeah.
People who are wealthy and have that power they're the ones that are able to get, what's his name? Epstein, right?
Yeah.
I think Epstein could be one of those lions.
Yeah. Fuck. That's a great. It's true. Yeah. Where are the police in Beastars?
Right. That's why you have the panda bear.
Yeah.
There can't be one police for the entire world.
Yeah, he's my favorite character because the same actor is Bato in Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, Bato.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Yeah, I
him.
did recognize that.
But
Yeah.
I do love him.
Yeah. I also, yeah, on a side note, I noticed that the narrator of Kengan Ashura is the same narrator as Kaiji. And I thought, man, that guy really has a great voice. Like, this show is 50,000 times better for this thing every time he does it.
I wonder if the carnivores are like okay. If the case is that they can't get the nutrition that they normally like have. Because I know for me, like I try and feed my cats close to like what they would get in the wild, you know, because I feel bad that, you know, you got to eat dry pellets all the time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. There's got to be a little bit of you know, veering into the fantasy on this topic, because I agree. There's no fucking way that all these animals can be vegan for 4 years of high school. You know, like I'm not convinced that, you know, Mr. Grey Wolf really wants to be vegan, you know?
well, that and like what happens when you've graduated and now you're out in the world and you can go to the black market, and then like, do you love it or does it mess up your body because you haven't had it in so long?
Yeah.
Because that's what happens with normal vegan and vegetarianism if you go back to a lifestyle with meat.
Yeah.
But if Simba did it in The Lion King, all right, then
Oh, then
True.
I think anyone can do it.
okay.
It's just,
All
you
right.
got it. It's the Hakuna Matata.
Yeah. You just got to Hakuna Matata my diet, you know, you'll be okay.
Black market, Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
Slut shaming, Hakuna Matata.
Matata.
Yeah, I did think that was a really interesting kind of moral, maybe part moral predicament, part temptation, when that gross old man was selling his fingers outside the black market for everybody, you know, like, eat one of my fingers,
Blech.
for, you know, $100. So, wow. I don't know. Would you eat his finger, Geoff?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think it's wrong for this guy to be selling his fingers, or do you feel like that's exploitative in some way?
Yeah, I guess it's all exploitation, but he was just a guy on the street, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like, based on his dress, we can infer that he's like a homeless beggar.
But then it's like, yeah, you're kind of, if you give someone money who's begging for money, does that sort of, that question, age-old question, does it incite it further? Are you enabling that person? You keep giving, and I'm speaking in a broad sense of that, because you don't know each person's situation. But you know, people won't give someone money because, oh, what if they buy drugs with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but who cares? Like, you give them money, and whatever they do with it is up to them. They want to sell their fingers, go for it. I don't know. I would have been that kid that would have ran the other way, because this is wrong.
Yep.
Got right out of there.
Yeah, that had to be in by 9 anyway. So.
Same.
But hey, they're at this boarding school, so who knows? My college experience might have been a lot different if I had gone to boarding school. Because I feel like that's sort of a gateway to that, being independent, right? Living on your own.
Yeah.
I feel like the boarding school was also super lax.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like letting these kids go out into the world that people are getting attacked all the time. You see it on the news. they don't have like any chaperones. They're going to love hotels. They're getting kidnapped by the Yakuza. And then like the like dorm mom or whatever doesn't even like report that 2 people are missing for 24 hours.
Maybe that's how it is in Europe.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'm like,
I don't find the majority of this stuff to be so unrealistic. Like, you really think that if 2 boarding school students disappeared for a day in 2020 in the U.S., that their dorm mother wouldn't just be like, well, I don't really want to draw attention to this and have to deal with all the paperwork, and then somebody above me is going to come and yell at me, and it's going to be a huge pain in the ass. So let's just give them a night to make their way home and just, you know, hope for the best. I mean, that's got to be how it plays out half the time, right?
Where could I reverse time and go back to boarding school so I can hang out really late and like not get in trouble?
Okay, well,
like...
maybe I just don't understand boarding schools. That I never went. It's not like I would know, but yeah.
I always wanted to go to boarding school. I was like, Mom, I want to go. I don't want to live here
Really
anymore.
wanted to go.
Yeah, I thought it would have been cool. You know, tons of friends. You just hang out with live with your friends the whole time. You don't got parents to tell you what to do, but I guess then you would have dorm mothers to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Or it's like the military style boarding school.
I think of boarding schools as kind of having a bad rep. Like, in my eyes, generally you don't want to go to boarding school because they have a reputation as being more strict and more like, more difficult to navigate, and you're cut off from your support network from back home. Isn't that how society kind of paints boarding school, or like popular culture kind of paints boarding school?
Yeah, and religious boarding school specifically, right?
Yeah.
I think of boarding schools. I think of religious ties and military affiliation, like.
Right. Yeah.
And then maybe in Europe, it's more common for boarding schools.
Right, because that's always used as a threat of punishment when people are like acting out and misbehaving. Then, you know, a teacher or a parent or something is like, "We're going to send your ass to boarding school." You know, it's definitely painted in a bad way.
But like Zoey 101.
What?
But like Zoey 101.
What is Zoey 101?
It's a Nickelodeon show. Is that Haru or is that Nami? Because I can hear them.
Haru, get out of here.
Haru, making an appearance on the podcast.
Yeah, this is
Haru's. I was like, is that outside or is that? No, but Zoey 101's a Nickelodeon show about a boarding school. And their boarding school looks so fun. They got like their own smoothie machines, like frozen yogurt. They get to hang out with their friends and go off campus and eat sushi. Like,
well, okay, then that does make boarding school seem pretty cool.
I know, right?
You take all the best parts of boarding school and put it in that show. Isn't that what
Yeah.
But yeah, the animation. Do you guys like the? There's a couple experimental parts that I thought were interesting. That pencil drawing one.
I love experimental animation.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it makes the show like so much more visually appealing and like more unique, and you know, I can like get into it a little bit more.
What do we compare the opening to? Mr. Fox.
Yes, Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Fantastic Mr. Fox. I can see that reference now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you watch like a trailer of Fantastic Mr. Fox and then the opening, you can see it. I really like the drool in the opening.
Yeah.
Like the juxtaposition of like fur and like wetness. Like, how did they do that with stop motion?
That's a good question.
Because I want to know. Because it looked good.
What if the whole show was like that?
I don't know if I would like it.
No, you like stop motion? You wouldn't do the puppets?
I mean, to me, then it wouldn't feel. I feel like it would take an element of like the dark scenes away because the characters look really cute.
I agree.
Hmm.
They're like too cute.
Yeah, that's a
The way
good
they
point.
run in the sequence is like so cute.
Yeah, and the opening title. I was gonna say the opening screen, the song makes me think of Tink from Bebop, Cowboy Bebop. Listen to the melody. Every time I hear it, I'm like, da 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 da, and I
Yeah,
just,
I feel that.
nah.
I really love both songs, the opening and the ending. I feel like it really like rounds out the series.
Yeah,
Each
and
episode, I'm like, yes.
Netflix really doesn't want you to enjoy opening and ending songs.
I know. I'm sitting here watching Chunibyo, and it's like this. It gives me the opening. It gives me a chance to like skip it, but then like the ending song that's like really good in Chunibyo. I love the ending song. Gives me like 3 seconds of it,
Yeah.
and I hate that. You have to like get to the screen quick enough to like stop the next episode button. So
Yeah,
stupid.
Netflix really does. So, I got Netflix almost specifically to watch Beastars just now. So this is my first time really, like, I've, watched many things on Netflix through various girlfriend and ex-girlfriend accounts, but I feel like this is my first time like really digging into it on my own terms. And I am kind of blown away by how much Netflix pushes you to watch things as quickly as possible and to marathon things, as full on as you can manage. It really does not want you to take space and take time to watch these things. And is that just a business strategy that like, yeah, we just keep people hooked by forcing content down their throat and propelling them forward at all times? Because like when I watched Beastars, I watched one episode a day, every day, and I liked it like that. It gives me time to like let everything sit and settle, and I can reflect on it and like keep revisiting these characters over and over again and kind of build a relationship with them over time. And Beastars is not like so action packed and so fast paced that it really behooves a marathon, in my opinion, in the same way as like you know other shows really make me feel like I should sit there and just watch it all at once.
Mm.
But yeah, it's like a weird way of consuming media to me.
Well, I don't even understand why, because it's not like they make their money off of each individual show. They make their money off of subs and sponsors, and fresh subs. Like you have like that's how it's like they make their money as recurring subscription. So if like 5 people are sharing the same Netflix account, they're not making money off of that because they want you to each have your own Netflix account.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and then as soon as you're done a series, it shows you a trailer for something that you might like, right? Based on the algorithm.
I hate the trailer situation. If you even hover your mouse over one thing, it starts a freaking trailer. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
I like it personally, but I understand how it's really annoying.
When you watch it, when you're on Netflix, well, let's say you're on it every day, right? And it becomes annoying because then you're like, I just watched this trailer like 4 times. And you don't want to watch it again. Yep. There's no way to like turn off that specific trailer for that series.
But I don't know. I never hover on anything long enough to get the trailer. Hit Netflix on my Roku and then go to Beastars next episode and click it, and go to Kinkan Astro and click that one.
You know what you want, Dan.
Yes.
You're very decisive.
Very decisive. I also hate that they like ask me if I'm still watching it after 4 episodes. Bitch, you're the one that's pushing me to watch all these episodes. Yes, I'm still watching it. I don't need to confirm. Yes, I am still watching it.
Yeah, I feel that. Watch this. You still watching? It's like,
You know I'm still watching.
I've spent like an hour. One time I spent an hour and a half trying to decide what to watch on Netflix. No joke.
I can ask. You don't have to joke about that. I already know that about you. It took you like half an hour to pick something when we were carving jack-o'-lanterns.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's a very real psychological phenomenon, right? It's the
Too many choices.
Yeah, there's a specific term for that, and it's like well studied that if you have too few choices, people aren't happy, but too many choices, they aren't happy either.
It's paralysis. It's paralysis is part of the word, I believe. Like when you go to the grocery store and you're like, oh, there's 100 choices of cereal. And
that's the example that people always use for it. Yeah.
Oh, I always go to the grocery store hungry, so I buy everything.
One of each.
Because if not, I'm not buying nothing.
I've gone like twice a week so far to the grocery store. Sometimes more, it feels.
During this lockdown.
Yeah, we've been cooking a lot. I feel like
that's crazy.
Yeah, I twice a week is a lot, even if you're not under a lockdown, in my opinion.
Yeah, we go like once a week, once every 2 weeks, kind of thing.
I go every Sunday and get food for the next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've gone through almost 2 cartons of eggs in the last week and a half.
Them hens
12 packs or 18 packs?
Dozen.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah, 2 dozen. I just made muffins.
Oh, but I would just buy like 5 packs at once. I would be like, okay, I'm not coming back for another year. Just kidding.
At Costco.
Have you seen anything crazy at the grocery store?
Oh my God, yeah. Ew. There's this man he was an older man. Okay, and I get it. It's a scary time. But he was just standing at the end of his checkout line. The girl was still like putting all of this food through. And he's standing at the end of the checkout line going, "Help me! Help me!" And like at first I thought he was just joking, like haha, like he knew people and he was just like, haha, I'm being weird. This is a joke. Help me! And then he continued to scream it every 20 seconds, even when people were like talking to him. And I was just like, oh my God, what is happening right now?
What did he need help with?
I have no idea, because then they were asking him questions like, do you need this bag? Like, what bags are yours? Like, and he's just like, help me! And then and then they take his stuff out of the store for him, and then he like pushes his card over to customer service, and the customer service counter, and then not even at the front of the counter, like at the side of the counter, and he was just standing there like, help me! I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is this man doing?
I realized that could happen anywhere, but I miss Florida.
Yeah, I went to Whole Foods for shits and giggles, and because I wanted a powder, the matcha powder, and they have 6 feet marks throughout the entire store of tape. Like, wow. You need to stand this far apart from each other, and they seem to be the most health conscious out of every place I've gone to thus far.
They have to. They're complete foods.
They gotta be. They gotta be on their shit.
Yeah.
I mean, the grocery store we went to, they just said be 2 grocery carts in between people, but nobody was following that.
Yeah, that's
like
what it's like.
Around me.
That's what it's like at my grocery store too. They have a sign or two that says stand 2 carts apart, but there ain't nobody doing anything different.
Yeah, they had in the checkout line though, they did have like, you need to stand here and here and here. But most people that I've seen out, they're wearing masks.
Are you wearing masks, Amelia?
Yes, Beach, because I was prepared for this for like 3 years. I've been collecting my face masks, and now it's like finally approved to wear them. Like nobody looks at me different because we all wearing masks now. Our weed status just got upgraded. Like from here out, I'm gonna be wearing my masks every day.
Fuck yeah, that's cool.
I actually our grocery store checkout person, was wearing like an anime face mask, and I was wearing my anime face mask. And I was like, yeah, I like your face mask. She was like, oh yeah, I got it at Otakon. And I was like, bitch, I go to Otakon too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I had a weeb moment at the grocery store.
That's cool.
And the registration for that's been pushed back, right?
Oh yeah, the early bird.
Early bird special. So.
I never get the early bird because either I wait till the last minute or my mom gets me it for my birthday.
Yeah, we got until May.
Yeah.
Good to say.
It's gonna happen? Is it gonna happen?
I don't know. I hope it does because like for my mental health, like I need it to happen. But then like how is it going to be different? Because
Yeah.
I feel like this whole like being 6 feet apart, like wearing masks, being like sanitary, I feel like this is going to like kind of like stick. And I don't know how we're going to navigate conventions with after this.
Yeah. Hasn't there been multiple mutations of the virus now? I've heard that, like in China, they're already getting sick again.
Mm-hmm, their second wave, yeah.
I haven't heard much about that angle, but I've seen a couple headlines like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
I would hope that they would just have vaccines available in the future, like the flu shot. But I know that takes a lot to get to that. But
Yeah.
It's not like Outbreak, where they're able
Contagion.
Contagion. Well,
That's
Outbreak.
what everyone says.
Well, it is. It's closer to Contagion, but in Outbreak they have the monkeys. They caught the monkey who was the original host of the virus.
Number zero.
Patient 0.
And they are able to extract a cure for it. Basically, at the end of the movie, it's like did all that in like a week or however long it took,
Yeah.
But
All right, are we done with Beastars?
anything
Have we
else?
wrapped it up?
Yeah.
I think I've said most of everything that I've wanted to say. Love it, 10 out of 10. I'm pretty lenient with my 10s, but that's my rating, 10 out of 10. I love it. I'm gonna watch the second season as soon as it comes out. I'm gonna binge it all in one day.
Yeah, I'll watch the second season too for sure.
I'm really curious of who killed Tim.
I want to see Haru and Legoshi get together as a couple.
I want to see how they work that out.
I'm ready for all the Beastar cosplay.
Oh yes.
Some of our peers are going to have to hit the gym to get ready for that shit.
I'm ready too. I'm ready. I want to see some Legoshis out there. Haru, I feel like is pretty doable.
Yeah.
But are they going to have realistic facial features? Are they going to wear a full-on mask type of situation? I'm sure there's already websites selling the school outfits.
Yeah. Sure.
Who do you guys think killed Tim? What are your predictions?
Well, from my perspective, they're kind of implying that the killer is the person whose point of view we see in the epilogue, right? Mm-hmm. And I take that as an implication, not because the show really hints at that in some way, but just like the atmosphere is such that it makes you feel like we're looking from the point of view of someone that is supposed to be, someone that we haven't seen so far in the show.
Okay, so it is someone that we haven't seen, you think?
The point of view character in the epilogue, yes. That's my assumption. Is somebody that we haven't been introduced to yet, and someone that seems really aggressive and is popping pills and is like breathing heavy and is like, seems like there's like, and that leads me to believe that it's the killer. But, I guess we'll just have to see.
It's someone also that is taller than Legoshi, because Legoshi's looking up.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I think Bill. It's the only logical thing. Only logical explanation.
So like went away for break, and then came back with an addiction, a blood addiction.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he was popping those pills like he was doping basically.
That also though, it kind of also looks like gum. So.
Nicotine gum.
Nicotine gum. Blood gum.
Yeah. Curb your.
Sausage.
What is it?
Kind of like a blood sausage, but chewier.
Ooh.
I thought it was Bill in the beginning just because of like the silhouette of the killer in the opening sequence. But I feel like Bill kind of like came around to Legoshi's attitude more, like being friends with everyone and like this is like wrong, and the things that I thought were wrong. But then also he has that scene where he's they're in the like burger place or whatever, and he's talking about this girl that he was having sex with. And he was being very rude about it.
Yeah, it's crass.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if it could be Bill. But I do think that maybe it is a character that we've seen maybe in the background, but we haven't like fully been introduced to.
It makes me think that there's connection with the mayor and the black market. And
I think so.
There's got to be a connection. So it makes me think that maybe the mayor is up to no good.
Black market's an open secret. I'm not sure if there's like necessarily a direct connection, but like it's not like the mayor doesn't know about it. I mean, it's just like sweatshops here. Like everybody knows that shit's happening, but how many people are really making an effort to stop it, and how we view those people, right? Like, think the president of China doesn't know that they got sweatshops busting out consumer goods and people really struggling for that, but he sees it as part of the grand national plan and part of keeping their society where he thinks it ought to be from his perspective. So he's not apt to do anything about it. I mean, it's got to be the same thing.
Should we start a rating system? 2 thumbs up, 2 thumbs down. Stars? Do we give stars?
It's going to be out of 3, and it gets 2 Legoshi thumbs up and 1 Haru thumbs down.
Okay.
I don't know.
I give this show 4 sexy animals out of 5.
Oh, good. I like that.
All right. 5.
I would give it 4.5 sexy animals out of 5, and the bottom half.
4 carnivore and 1 herbivore sexy animals out of 5.
All right. I'm doing 4 finger foods out of 5 finger foods.
Because one of them already got eaten.
Yes.
Yes.
So what are we gonna watch next?
I was thinking about that, and I was thinking maybe we don't watch something, but maybe we do some kind of like top 10 listicle, or I don't know, talk about like I don't know.
Top anime of last year.
Yeah, something like that.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, something that we don't have to watch, like watch specifically something.
Yeah, that's fine for me. Just need to know what we're making a list of so I can make a list.
Top anime of the decade.
A decade anime list? I already have mine. I'm good to go. I'm ready. Let's do it.
We'll be a little late on the
We will, but it's okay because we just started podcast. We're slightly late.
Yeah. What do you think, Dan?
It's fine for me. I like the idea of just watching shows and talking about them, but I am ready to sit down and think about a top 10 of the decade and suss it out. I got to really think about, what came out this decade and what didn't, what it is I've actually watched. I mean, I need to hurry up and watch Mob Psycho 100, I guess.
Oh my God. You do need to hurry up with that. Just kidding.
I'm behind the times, man. These kind of like time-oriented lists are difficult because I just watched 160 episodes of Legends of the Galactic Heroes, so I haven't watched Mob Psycho 100.
There's no time for Mob Psycho when you've got the Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
I gotta know the legends, man.
Okay, so we're closing up shop here. Thanks a lot for hanging out. It was great to have you with us. Roll up next episode. We're going to be debating the top 5 anime to watch while you're locked down and quarantined up. And I can tell you right now that I'm really advocating for Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Everybody else is going to say that's a boring one, but to that I can only say, nah, it's awesome. So click subscribe on some platform to hear about the next episode as soon as it drops. Shout out to Christella for actually watching Kaiba after we talked about it. If you want to watch something together with us and listen to us rant and ramble about it, leave a comment somewhere and for sure we'll get right on it. So yeah, that's all we got, and we'll see you around next time.